Picture this. You're sitting in your 2015 Honda Civic at a red light, and a brand new $92,000 BMW X5 pulls up next to you. And for just a second, you feel it. That weird gut punch that whispers you're losing at life. The driver looks about your age, maybe younger. Meanwhile, you're still driving a car with 87,000 miles on it, still renting an apartment, still packing lunch 3 days a week to save money. But here's what you don't see. The average luxury car buyer in America has less than $2,800 in their savings account. You have $11,000. So who's actually winning here? There's a specific psychological trap that makes financially successful people feel like failures, and it's costing you way more than money. It's costing you peace of mind, and I'm going to show you exactly how to escape it. I'm an accountant who works with people's finances every single day, and I've become genuinely obsessed with understanding why people who are doing objectively well feel like they're drowning. So here I share financial insights that help regular people see their actual progress. And if you've ever looked at your bank account and thought, I should be further ahead by now, make sure to subscribe because I'm going to completely reframe how you measure financial success. Now, before we get into the actual signs you're crushing it financially, let me paint you a picture of what most people's reality looks like, because the gap between perception and reality is insane. You're at Target and you've got $140 worth of stuff in your cart. Detergent, some groceries, a new bath mat, nothing crazy. And you're standing there doing mental math before checkout because you're not 100% sure if this is going to mess up your budget for the week. Meanwhile, someone walks past you pushing a cart with a $600 Dyson vacuum, 4 throw pillows from the home section, and what looks like the entire candle aisle. No hesitation, no mental math. Just vibes. And in that moment, you feel poor. You feel behind. You feel like you're the only person on earth who has to think about money. But here's what actually happens in that scenario. That person who threw the Dyson in their cart, there's a 68% chance it's going on a credit card that's already carrying a balance. There's a 54% chance they have less than $1,000 saved for emergencies. And there's a very real chance that in 6 months, they'll be in a panic because their car needs new brakes, and they have absolutely nothing to cover it. You, on the other hand, are doing the mental math because you're actually managing money. You're tracking it. You're aware of it. And weirdly, that awareness is the first major sign you're doing better than you think. Here's what actually happens when you reach a certain level of financial stability. You don't suddenly start spending without thinking. You just start worrying about different things. You stop worrying about whether you can afford the $140 Target run, and you start worrying about whether you're investing enough for retirement. You stop worrying about overdraft fees, and you start worrying about tax optimization. The anxiety doesn't disappear, it just upgrades. And most people interpret that upgraded anxiety as evidence they're still failing. But it's actually evidence they've already won the first battle. Let me give you some numbers that'll probably surprise you. The median savings account balance in America is $1,250, not the average, the median. That means half of all Americans have less than that. If you have $5,000 in savings, you're already in the top 35% of savers in this country. If you have $10,000, top 25%. And here's the kicker. If you have 6 months of expenses saved up, which for most people is somewhere between $15,000 and $25,000, you are in the top 10% of Americans in terms of financial resilience. Think about that for a second. Having what financial advisors consider the bare minimum emergency fund already puts you ahead of 90% of the country. But here's where it gets really interesting. Financial stability isn't just about the dollar amount in your account. It's about the decisions that money allows you to make differently. And this is something most people completely miss. When you have even just $3,000 saved, you make different choices at work. I've seen this pattern play out dozens of times. Someone builds up a small emergency fund, and suddenly they're willing to have difficult conversations with their boss. They push back on unreasonable requests. they ask for raises, they set boundaries. Not because they're planning to quit, but because the financial cushion gives them just enough confidence to advocate for themselves. There's this concept in behavioral economics called walking away money, and it's one of the most powerful psychological shifts you can experience. It's the amount of money you need saved to feel like you could walk away from a bad situation if you absolutely had to. For most people, that number is somewhere between $5,000 and $15,000. Not because you'd actually quit your job with only that much saved, but because psychologically, having that cushion changes you from someone who needs their current situation to someone who chooses it. And that shift is massive. Let me show you exactly how this works in real life. Imagine two people, both making $65,000 a year. Person A has $800 in savings. Person B has $9,000. They both hate their jobs. They both have a manager who treats them poorly. But when that manager asks Person A to work through the weekend, again with no extra pay, Person A says yes. Because Person A is terrified of losing their income. They can't afford even 2 weeks of unemployment. But Person B says no. Not rudely, not unprofessionally, but firmly. I'm not available this weekend. And weirdly, the manager respects it more. Because confidence rooted in financial stability reads differently than confidence rooted in nothing. This is where most people mess this up. They think financial progress only counts if it's dramatic. They think it only matters if they're driving the BMW, buying the house, making 6 figures. But the real progress happens in these invisible moments. The moment you stop checking your bank balance before buying groceries. The moment you can handle a $400 car repair without it derailing your entire month. The moment you turn down overtime because you don't desperately need it, not because you're rich, but because you're stable enough to choose rest. Here's another sign you're doing better than you think, and this one's going to feel weird. If you're stressed about money, like genuinely stressed, you're probably in better financial shape than someone who never thinks about it. A study from the Financial Health Network found that 73% of people with above average financial health reported feeling anxious about money regularly. Meanwhile, people with poor financial health were actually less likely to report financial stress, not because they had less to worry about, but because they'd given up tracking it. They'd stopped looking at the numbers. Stress in this context isn't a sign you're failing, it's a sign you're engaged, you're paying attention, you're trying to optimize. And that engagement is worth more than $10,000 in a savings account, because it's the behavior that builds the $10,000 in the first place. Now, you might be thinking, okay, but I still feel behind compared to where I thought I'd be at this age. And yeah, I get it. We all have that imaginary timeline in our heads. By 25, I'll have $20,000 saved. By 30, I'll own a home. By 35, I'll have a 6-figure income. But here's the thing. Those timelines are based on an economy that doesn't exist anymore. Your parents bought their first house when the median home price was 2.8 times the median income. Today, it's 5.6 times. Your parents probably graduated college with minimal debt or no debt. Today, the average student loan burden is $37,000. The game changed. The timeline changed. And judging your progress against outdated benchmarks is like measuring your marathon time against someone who ran a 5K. Let me ask you something. Do you currently have 0 credit card debt? Because if you do, you're ahead of 55% of American adults. Do you contribute anything at all to a retirement account, even just 3% of your paycheck? That puts you ahead of 46% of working Americans who are saving literally nothing for retirement. Do you have any kind of budget or spending awareness, even if it's just a rough mental tally? That puts you ahead of 78% of people who have no idea where their money goes each month. These aren't glamorous milestones. There's no Instagram post for, I paid off my credit card and kept it at 0. There's no trophy for, I actually know how much I spent on food last month. But But these are the foundations of wealth, and if you have them, you're already building something most people never even start. But here's where most people mess this up, and I see it constantly. They hit one of these milestones, they save their first $5,000, they pay off their car, they reach a 720 credit score, and they think, I've arrived, I can relax now. And then they immediately blow it. They finance a new car because I deserve it after all that sacrifice. They book a $3,000 vacation on a credit card because I've been so good with money, I deserve a break. They upgrade their apartment because I can finally afford it. And within 6 months, they're back at square one because they treated financial progress as a destination instead of a behavior. The truth is, the habits that got you to $5,000 in savings are the exact same habits that will get you to $50,000. The only thing that changes is time. The person who can save $200 a month is the same person who can save $2,000 a month once their income grows, but only if they don't inflate their lifestyle the second they get a raise. Here's something I learned after reading way too many books on behavioral finance. There's this moment in everyone's financial journey where money stops being about survival and starts being about opportunity. For most people, that threshold is somewhere around 3 to 6 months of expenses saved. Before that point, every dollar is defensive. You're building a wall against disaster. You're trying not to drown. But after that point, something shifts. Suddenly, you're not just protecting yourself from bad things, you're positioning yourself for good things. You can take a career risk because you have a safety net. You can invest in education or training because you're not living paycheck to paycheck. You can move to a new city for a better opportunity because you have the savings to cover moving costs. And this is where it gets really interesting. Once you cross that threshold, compound interest and compound psychology start working together. You save $200 this month, and that $200 earns interest, sure. But more importantly, saving $200 reinforces your identity as someone who saves. And that identity makes it easier to save next month, and the month after that. It's not just your money that compounds, it's your behavior, your confidence, your sense of control. And those things are worth more than the actual dollars, because they're what generate the dollars in the first place. Let me tell you what wealth actually looks like in real life, because it's nothing like what you see online. Real wealth is a 7-year-old Subaru with 92,000 miles on it, parked in front of a modest 3-bedroom house, owned by someone who maxes out their 401k every year and hasn't carried a credit card balance in a decade. Real wealth is saying no to the $65,000 pickup truck, even though you technically got approved for the loan. Real wealth is keeping your paid-off car for 3 more years and investing the $500 monthly payment you're not making anymore. It's boring, it's invisible, nobody's taking pictures of it for social media, but it's real. And if you're living anything close to this, you're already winning a game most people don't even know they're playing. Here's the bottom line, you're not behind. You're just comparing your behind the scenes to everyone else's highlight reel. The person in the luxury car might be drowning in debt. The couple posting vacation photos might have financed the whole thing on credit cards they can't pay off. The coworker who always has the latest iPhone might have $600 in savings and no retirement plan. You don't know their numbers, you only know yours. And if your numbers include any emergency savings, 0 high-interest debt, and some kind of retirement contribution, you're doing better than the majority of this country. Not because the bar is low, although honestly, it kind of is, but because you're building something real, something sustainable, something that will actually be there when you need it. Your future self isn't going to thank you for the car you financed to impress strangers at red lights. They're going to thank you for the boring, invisible, unglamorous decision to keep saving, keep investing, and keep living below your means, even when literally everyone around you is doing the opposite. Trust me on this one. The quiet wealth you're building in the background is worth more than all the loud wealth on display. Keep going. You're doing better than you think.